All right, shalom, and welcome to another Bible study that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. My name is Isaac ben Israel, and I am the priest of the United Congregation of Israel, and this is our weekly Bible study that we do every fourth day, or as it is more commonly known as Wednesday. Before we get started, we're going to begin with a prayer. So we're going to face the east, and all males remove your head covering, and females always pray with their head covered. Abba Father, Most High Covenant Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, we thank you, Father. We thank you for giving us another opportunity to read out of your great legacy. We thank you, Yahweh, for preserving this legacy for us, because we did not do the things that we were supposed to do to preserve our heritage and our history. But we thank you, Yahweh, that you have done these things in spite of how we have sinned against you and how we have turned away from your holy and righteous direction. We pray, Father, that as we seek your knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, that you would allow your spirit to be amongst us on this night. Allow your spirit of understanding to guide us through this legacy. And we pray that you would also give us an understanding and obedient heart, that we may be able to walk in those things and adjust our lives accordingly. We ask these prayers not only for those that are physically here with us, but even those that gather by way of phone and by way of internet, those that gather out of a pure heart to serve you in truth and in spirit. In Yeshua HaMashiach's holy and divine name we pray. Amen and hallelujah. All right. We're going to begin today's Bible study in Zechariah chapter 1. And we're going to read a couple chapters out of Zechariah. You have, it is, utterly amazing that we have so many teachings about the Old Testament being done away with, to the point that most people, when you read anything out of the Old Testament, they are automatically poisoned against it, and they believe that none of these things are valid, not understanding that there is a great deal of these things that have not taken place yet. So even as we examine the book of Zechariah, we're in chapter 1, and there's 14 chapters here. So I want you to just consider some things as we start reading, and how much has not been fulfilled. And we're just talking about this book of the prophets. There are other prophets who have prophesied things, and those things have not come to pass as of yet as well. Zechariah chapter 1, and let's start this at verse 1.
In the 8th month, in the 2nd year of Darius, came the word of Yahweh unto Zechariah, the son of Berechiah, the son of Iddo the prophet, saying.
Now, you notice, first of all, it gives you this lineage of these prophets, that these things go in an order. So in these times, and as it is customary, the sons followed in the work that the fathers did. Even to this day, most people, other than us, you see the little Mexican out there and he's working on the house. Guess what? The little kid is working on the house too. You see him working on the car. Guess what? Little kids working on the car too. So by a certain time, they already know a certain amount. So they eventually, if they keep going in the same line, end up being better than the fathers, because of the work that the fathers put in while they were little. So they automatically have a certain level of understanding, because they're already getting bits and pieces of the fathers understanding at a young age. Go ahead.
Verse 2. Yahweh hath been sore displeased with your fathers. Therefore say you unto them, Thus said the Yahweh of hosts, Turn you unto me, saith the Yahweh of hosts, and I will turn unto you, saith the Yahweh of hosts. Be you not as your fathers, unto whom the former prophets have cried, saying, Thus said the Yahweh of hosts, Turn you now from your evil ways and from your evil doings. But they did not hear, nor hearken unto me, saith Yahweh.
Right. So it's time for one of these prophets to say these things unto the children of Israel. Some people might, end up being afraid because it was said, look, don't be afraid of the looks on their faces because, Israel is a hard bunch. We will love you as long as everything's going good. But as soon as there's a problem, oh boy, Israel can let you know that they can get right down dirty and nasty. So you can see how the son would be automatically empowered by already knowing these things and not being caught off guard. That his fathers is already his fathers and his grandfathers is already telling him, all right, when Yahweh give you something to say, you better say it. And let me tell you something. Don't worry about how they look at you, because let me tell you something. And they might beat you. They might slap. Some of these people got punched in the mouth. They had all kind of things happen unto them just to tell the truth to the children of Israel and say what Yahweh wanted to be said. Go ahead.
Zechariah chapter 1 and verse 5. Your fathers, where are they? And the prophets, do they live forever? But my words and my statutes, which I commanded my servants the prophets, did they not take hold of your fathers? And they returned and said, like as Yahweh of hosts thought to do unto us, according to our ways and according to our doings, so has he dealt with us. Upon the 24th day of the 11th month, which is the month Sebat.
Now, when you see these names of these months, Yahweh didn't give us any names of months. This lets you know, I'm 99% of the time that you see any name of a month or a day or anything of that nature, we are in captivity. This starts out, our people are under other rule. This is where we picked up the names of these months and the names of all of these things that they named after their gods and things of that nature. Go ahead.
In the 2nd year of Darius came the word of Yahweh unto Zechariah, the son of Berechiah, the son of Iddo, the prophet, saying, I saw by night, and behold, a man riding upon a red horse, and he stood among the myrtle trees that were in the bottom, and behind him were there red horses, speckled in white. Then said I, O my master, what are these? And the angel that talked with me said unto me, I will show you what these be. And the man that stood among the myrtle trees answered and said, These are they whom Yahweh hath sent to walk to and fro through the earth. And they answered the angel of Yahweh that stood among the myrtle trees and said, We have walked to and fro through the earth, and behold, all the earth sitteth still and is at rest. Then the angel of Yahweh answered and said, O Yahweh of hosts, how long will you not have mercy on Jerusalem and on the cities of Yehudah, against which you have had indignation these 70 years? And Yahweh answered the angel that talked with me with good words and comfortable words. So the angel that communed with me said unto me, Cry you, saying, Thus said Yahweh of hosts, I am jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion with a great jealousy.
Now consider, there's a part here that can kind of throw you off. It said the earth is in sit still and is at rest. Okay, so people will say, well, that sounds good. Well, righteousness has not been set in the earth. The children of Israel are not restored where they're supposed to be. How long will you allow this to be? They shouldn't be at rest if they're, if the children of Israel is not at rest. So you have these things. That's the major question there. Go ahead.
Verse 15. And I'm very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. For I was but a little displeased, and they held forward the affliction. Therefore thus said Yahweh, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercies. My house shall be built in it, said the Yahweh of hosts, and a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem. Cry yet, saying, Thus said Yahweh of hosts, my cities through prosperity shall yet be spread abroad, and Yahweh shall yet comfort Zion, and shall yet choose Jerusalem. Then lifted I up mine eyes, and saw, and behold, 4 horns. And I said unto the angel that talked with me, What be these? And he answered me, These are the horns which have scattered Yehuda, Israel, and Jerusalem.
These are the horns which have scattered Yehuda, Israel, and Jerusalem. So you have here, it's about to tell you who scattered the children of Israel. Go ahead.
And Yahweh showed me 4 carpenters. Then said I, What come these to do? And he spake, saying, These are the horns which have scattered Yehuda, so that no man did lift up his head. But these come to fray them, to cast out the horns of the Gentiles.
The horns of the Gentiles. It is the Gentiles, the people who we know as Caucasians. These are the people who have scattered Yehuda, Israel, which is, we're talking the whole 12 tribes here. Yehuda, understand, Yehuda and Israel split. And Jerusalem, this is encompasses everything of the 12 tribes. Because, we watched a video one day where you're starting to have Gentiles that will come out and admit that we are the children of Israel. But they're doing it in levels and spurts and things like that. So there's one guy, Caucasian, ended up saying, well, 8 of the tribes are black. But then, before I'm white. So, it's hard for them to come out and say, look, all 12 of these tribes are the same people. It's the children of Israel. They're all what we know as black people. They can't go that far. But I will give him some credit, okay? It was hard enough for him to go 8, okay? Because some people try to, they try to give you, one. They try to give us Dan or something like that, But they'll try to give us, something, one out of all that, and let the other ones, be, lily white. I'm talking about glowing white. So it is amazing to watch people deal with this. But as we keep putting this out, believe it or not, even the brothers who are on the corner, with their, karate suits and the bullhorn, they're playing a role and a purpose, because at the end of the day, it's making people say, well, what are they talking about? So people are starting to hear that, wait a minute, so you mean everybody in this book is not white? That's what we were told, and it's why we have less of a connection than anybody else when it comes down to the word, even though the whole word is, the basis of it is about the children of Israel. And then the other nations have to grab a hold to what was given unto us. But because they felt some kind of way, they transformed every part of this into color lines and made everybody appear in any kind of depiction as they were Gentiles. Yet it tells you that who cast out the children of Israel were Gentiles. Now the people who they have given us as Israel are Gentiles. So the very people who scattered us are now pretending to be us. Go ahead.
Who lifted up their horn over the land of Yehuda to scatter it.
And your horn is your place of power. Go ahead.
Zechariah chapter 2 and verse 1. I lifted up mine eyes again, and looked, and behold, a man with a measuring line in his hand. Then said I, Whither goeth you? And he said unto me, To measure Jerusalem, to see what is the breadth thereof, and what is the length thereof. And, behold, the angel that talked with me went forth, and another angel went out to meet him.
Now, keep in mind, in Zechariah 1, there were the horns of the Gentiles, which have spread or scattered the children of Israel. The children of Israel have not been regathered. He started talking about these carpenters which were going to fray away those horns that have scattered. Do understand, we're in Zechariah chapter 1. The children of Israel have not been gathered. So, as people are telling you to stay away from the Old Testament, we're already getting to some points that have not taken place. So, by going away from this, consider we got 14 chapters here. And already in chapter 1, we've gotten to some things that have not taken place. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And said unto him, Run, speak to this young man, saying, Jerusalem shall be inhabited as towns without walls for the multitude of men and cattle therein.
They have given a little sliver of what they are calling Israel today. And then you even have some of our people who are over there and some brothers over here going back and forth. What Telerat is the real Jerusalem. And then this place over here. Look, from the river Nile to the Euphrates, okay, you have a large area that is really Israel, not that sliver that they keep talking about. So while people trying to argue about what this is the real place, no, this is the real place. The whole place is ours. That's like arguing over, well, should it be in the living room or the dining room? It's in your house. Different do it make. Go ahead. Go ahead, you have something?
Well, I was just going to say, and even with Telerad, I mean, that's Telerad and Jerusalem are both in the territory allotted to Judah. I mean, that was the area down there where King David initially had his fortress. And, you know, so, I mean, but all 12 tribes can't live at Telerad.
Right,
you know?
right. But see, from word of mouth says that, you know, as those brothers went over to Israel, one of those brothers was had an altercation with the Ben-Ami brothers, and they ended up you know, having their altercation, and he was put out. So he ended up going into this area of Telerad, and then all of a sudden, then here comes this new doctrine that Telerad is the real place where all of those things are supposed to take place. Righteousness in the land of Israel goes through a process. So I don't care where you want to go up and set up your tent. There's a process that has to be followed, and if you skip that process, you just practicing. I mean, I can like, you know, or want this cake situation, you know, but I can't just skip the process and say, you know, I ain't gonna even worry about baking this cake. I ain't gonna even worry about it. I mixed it, I tasted the batter, it was delicious. So I just leave the batter right there on the counter. That ain't no cake. You don't get to skip the process. The process, there's certain things that happen in the process, and that's what we have. We have a lot of people that want to skip the process and get to the end result, which some of the times the biggest part of your power happens in the process. And there's a process where the children of Israel are supposed to be sanctified and set aside for 3.5 years. Then you have, you know, we've had Gentiles on our page arguing with us about, you know, this is false doctrine. This is not so. What people don't understand about the whole part about holiness and being sanctified, sanctification is given in threes. So when you read, and you read several times about this 3.5 years of separation, that is being sanctified. You cannot fight a holy war just one day you get up and hey, we get to go and Yahweh gonna be behind us. No, it don't work like that. All right, you're gonna have to be sanctified and separated from the nations and all of her evil before Yahweh and the angel of Yahweh gets to get behind you. Moshe was told, I'm going to send an angel to lead you in the way, but beware of him and do not provoke him, for he will not pardon your transgression. So you don't get to walk any old kind of way that you want to walk and still have the Elohim of Israel fight with you in your battles. That's the thing we have to understand. Go ahead.
Or is it somewhere around Leviticus 15, maybe 14, where he states that no one can come on to me unless they be sanctified?
Mm-hmm.
That's what he tells Moshe. So if you don't go through the sanctification, you can forget even going close on to him.
Hey, and each time there were times that there were problems amongst our people and they lost that sanctification. That's what happened in the book of Joshua when the brother ended up stealing something. Mm-hmm. He stole something, the sanctification was gone. Now, unless there was judgment enacted upon the person who stole those things, the sanctification of all of Israel was gone. You know how difficult that is? Now you understand why he says, I'm going to bring everybody out from all the nations. But, and I'm going to purge out from among me the rebels. From among the children of Israel, I'm going to purge out those rebels. Why? Because rebels ain't going to follow instructions. And every time we get ready to do something, one of them going to be done something. So he said, I'm going to bring all y'all out, but I'm going to get rid of them. They're not going into the land. So then that's why you got to think about these people that say, well, I ain't going through no 3.5 years. I'm going straight in the land. So they're going to miss the sanctification period. If you're not sanctified, you can't do anything in this. Even King David said, when Saul gave him his weapons, he said, man, I can't go to war with this. It has not been proven in battle. I can't war with this. Just give me my slingshot. My slingshot not big as your sword, but I tell you what, I done used my slingshot before. I know how my slingshot work. Now that sword, that thing bigger than me. I can't even move it. He moving it. He cutting himself and other people. He cutting the wrong people because the sword too big. But I tell you what, I know how to work that slingshot. See? It's been proven in battle, which is the same thing that's going to have to happen to us. We're going to have to be proven in battle. Go ahead.
Yeah, just one more thing. You know, the interesting fact that you just brought up about is purging out the rebels. What we haven't grasped our mind over is that some of us are going to have to do the purging. He didn't tell us how that purging was going to be done.
Oh, yeah,
and
bro.
we might just be, or whether we be the purger or the purged out.
Well,
it's gonna be us killing each other.
Well, hold on. We can get right to that. When they decided they were gonna make their calf and they was doing all of that thing,
Levites did the job.
Exactly. Israel had to go and kill them.
Yep.
No. Well, no magical dust came through and then the magic dust killed the rebels. No. The ones who was following had to kill the rebels. See? And you ain't gonna have to worry about the rebels gonna come at you. The rebels gonna make sure you kill them, cause they not gonna be content. They gonna come at you. But see, sometimes it takes that for the children of Israel to come together. We were more together as a people coming out of slavery. We were more together as a people going through civil rights than we are now. We got $22.16 in our bank account. We don't even want to speak to each other. Folks didn't do that when we were poor. Man, your mama would send you up the street, get some sugar from Rosemary, and take this flour to Beth Ann, and take what? Man, we were little delivery boys. Everybody knew and worked, so everybody had what they needed to make that meal. This person was missing sugar. That person was missing flour. But this person had flour. But this person down there had sugar. Your grandma might send you, go pick up the sugar from over here and then take that sugar over to such and such house. Right. Now, man, you miss some sugar? I hated it. Ain't nobody helping you today. And folk might have a cupboard full of stuff. See? We hoard stuff. We get deep freezers just so we can put it deep down in the freezer. It's deep in the freezer. We have stuff we don't even know about. We go in there, oh my God, look at that chicken. I didn't know that chicken was in here. Yeah, it was deep in the deep freezer. Right. See, it says Yahweh has made man upright, but man has made many inventions. So man's little invention has allowed us to do more coveting. See, we covet more. See, when you had to kill that animal, you couldn't save it. It's going to spoil. So, it forced you to share with your neighbors. You kill a goat, boom, finna cook the goat. Call the neighbors. Hey, brother, come on over, man. Call your other brother over here. Come on, man, we're finna cook this goat. We got to eat this goat. Goat going to spoil. We can't just set it up and get the deep freezer. No, we got to go ahead and eat it. So then, what does that do? Next week, if he kill a goat, now he calling all of y'all. Right. There was a way that led us to sharing, and this place and the way that it is set up does not promote that. It promotes covetousness. It provokes provokes a sense of never being satisfied with anything. Each time you get a car, you gotta get a better. You get a house, you gotta get a better house. Cause I mean that house you got, it ain't got but 3 floors on it. You know, you ain't got no elevator in there. Well then you gotta get a better house. You know, then your neighbor get a better car. Now you gotta get a better car than the better car. But you got a better car. But now you get a better car than the better car. Right. And this is keeping us enslaved to our own selfish desires. You will never be content because you always looking for something else. And this society pushes it and promotes it. Go ahead.
Zechariah chapter 2 and verse 5. For I, saith Yahweh, will be unto her a wall of fire round about, and will be the glory in the midst of her. Ho, ho, come forth, and free from the land of the north, saith Yahweh. For I have spread you abroad as the 4 winds of the heaven, saith Yahweh. Deliver yourself, O Zion, that dwelleth with the daughter of Babylon.
Deliver yourself, O Zion, that dwelleth with the daughter of Babylon. So this entire setup was called Babylon. And then each one of these countries end up taking control of Babylon. So when you even get down to each country that has ruled the earth, you get down to this Roman, so-called Holy Roman Empire, but you have this set up, and basically these Euro Gentiles, even between the Greeks and the Romans, you know, they fought one another, but the whole fight was to see who was going to control the earth. So you have the West that's in control of everything, and then you got this daughter of Babylon. There's a reason why there's a Statue of Liberty, this lady that was given unto the United States, because this daughter of Europe has now come up to be more powerful than her mother, at least for a time. One of the interesting things when you look at how things are set up, there was I think this little girl might have been 9 or 11 or something like that. The little girl did a little project and showed how each president all proceeded from, they were all some way related to the same noble person out of Europe, some king. Even Barack Obama, every last one of them has ties to this one man. And it was, you know, they were saying it, she was doing it as one thing, but the other people who saw it said, now see, this goes to show you how each president is selected and not elected. They already know who they're going to pick. You know, it goes in a certain line, and to go through, and I'm talking about, she had the line from all their lineage, every last one of the presidents, how it fits back to Europe. So understand, this was the colonies, and the colonies ended up saying that they were going to fight against the mother, but people don't understand that the mother is still pulling the strings. Go ahead.
Like I've said many times, just watch after the inauguration and see they all go visit the mother.
You're right. They all go back to Europe to show their appreciation.
They do.
Most of them go over there and kiss the ring of the Pope. You know, that's something that you just pay attention from the Godfather movies. You know, you got this old man, you know, he can't physically fight nobody, but yet all the gangsters come and show that he's the boss by kissing his ring. Now, why would anybody go and kiss the Pope? Because that's the biggest gangster of all of them. Go ahead.
And the only one that didn't do that was John F. Kennedy. He didn't kiss the Pope's ring, but you know, he was a Protestant stronghold.
Right, and you saw what happened to him, though, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Right, you don't disrespect the mob boss, you know, and he had some mob problems, you know, and understand where that they kept saying the mafia had a real problem with him. Of course, they had a real problem because he didn't kiss the mob boss, the ultimate mob boss's ring. Understand, the Italians, they're Romans. So it's nothing for them, and they're able in their own mind how their things are set up. They buy off sins, so they can kill 50, people, but then they come with a load of money and give it to the church.
Right.
See, so that's how they pay their indulgences. This is how the Catholic Church is so rich, because you got all these gangsters who will kill people, but then turn around and give that to the church. And our book says that you can't donate that kind of money, this bloody money, and bring it to the church. You can't turn around and kill people, man, and then turn around, well, I'm going to give you a portion, of this that I stole from such and such after I killed him. No, man, you keep that. Go ahead.
Verse 8. For thus said the Yahweh of hosts, after the glory had he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye. For behold, I will shake mine hand upon them, and they shall be a spoil to their servants, and you shall know that Yahweh of hosts hath sent me. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion, for lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of you, saith Yahweh. And many nations shall be joined to Yahweh in that day, and shall be my people.
See, many nations, these things have not taken place. Many nations shall be joined to Yahweh in that day, and shall be my people. Let me tell you something. The people who are calling themselves the Jews and who talk about anti-Semitism, they're the most anti-Semitic people you ever want to run into. They're not any of the people who flee to Israel. Man, they're not treating any of those people with any respect. The African nations or any of those people who come, they basically make little concentration camps, if you will, for them. They have to check in every couple of hours, which means that they can't go anywhere and work. They make sure that they will never have any financial way to keep sustaining themselves, that they will always feel like prisoners there. But yet, this is the place where many people shall come to join on to Yahweh. They ain't going to do it as long as those people there. It ain't going to happen. Go ahead.
And I will dwell in the midst of you, and you shall know that Yahweh of hosts has sent me unto you. And Yahweh shall inherit Yehudah his portion in the Holy Land, and shall choose Jerusalem again.
And shall choose Jerusalem again. See, the big thing about what happens with people, they think once blessed, always blessed. They think that Yahweh, because Yahweh has said this is his holy land, so whoever gets it is going to be, holy, and all of these things are going to happen. This is why they have those movies like Raiders of the Lost Ark. See, the whole thing is about go and steal those holy things, and you'll be the ruler of the world. It's always been their thing. See, and as a kid, that was like one of my favorite movies. I didn't know ultimately, what any of that meant, but I just thought it was fascinating. Right, they're stealing the holy things, and whoever so-called has these things, they're going to rule the earth. That's what their mindset is. That's been their whole drive, to possess the Holy Land. And they're possessing it now by presenting their own people as Jews, and then giving them all the military power to fight off all the other people around them. Go ahead.
Be silent, O all flesh, before Yahweh, for he raised up out of his holy nation. For he is raised up out of his holy nation. And he showed me Yahshua the high priest standing before the angel of Yahweh, and Satan standing at his right hand to resist him.
Now, when we get to these things, we're on a whole nother level of holy things. First of all, when you talk about, and he showed me Yahshua the high priest standing before the angel of Yahweh, and Satan standing at his right hand to resist him. We have to go back, of course, as soon as Yahshua was baptized, we then find Satan automatically there to resist him. I kept, I tell people all the time, look, Yahshua and Satan know one another very well. Okay? This is not a situation where, he don't understand what's going on. And there's a reason here why it's Yahshua, the high priest, not Jesus. See, this is one of the things. This is also part of putting other people in the land and calling them the children of Israel. Another part of that takeover is putting in one of your own deities, Zeus, as the head figure of the religious practices, and basically take that worship as your own. So verse 1, and he showed me Yahshua the high priest standing before the angel of Yahweh, and Satan standing at his right hand to resist him. If they would have dealt with Yahshua right, this is how it should have been written. Now you're going to find two things here. You got, if you look up this word in Zechariah 3 and verse 1, the Yahshua that is right there is Strong's H3091, and when they try to pronounce it out, it's Yehoshua, but what they're doing right there is kind of accenting this one part in the pronunciation. So we got H3091, but hold your place right there. I want you to go to another place, because see, sometimes people will see something, and now the definition of that is Yahweh saved. Okay, so let's go to Nehemiah chapter 12. So hold your place right there, because we're going to come right back to it. Nehemiah chapter 12, and I want you to read verse 8. Now you saw that other one was Yahshua, and they spelled it Joshua. Now watch this one in Nehemiah 12 and verse 8.
Nehemiah 12 and verse 8.
Moreover,
the Levites, Yahshua.
Now you see that? That one is spelled Jesua, because a lot of times you'll see people and they have Yeshua, and it's still pronounced. When I look at the pronunciation, this word here is Strong's H3442, and when you look at the pronunciation, it says Yahshua, and here you have he will save, but it has the same thing, and it leans right back to H3091. So we see that Yahshua, we have more than one example of he will save, Yahweh saves. We have this same setup here. Jesus doesn't mean anything. Yahshua, and they said he shall be called God's salvation. Shua is salvation. And we have two things here that gives us this, two different Hebrew words. So you'll have people that'll try to combat this and say, well, no, his name is, Yahweh Shai, and Yahweh, whatever. Shua is salvation. And we got two different words to prove that. H3091 and H3442. All right, now let's go back to where you were. So we ain't baptizing nobody in Yahweh Shai. And most of that stuff anyway is pronunciation. The and the is still the same word. Did it change? It's because you pronounced it different. But Jesus ain't the same word. See? Go ahead.
Zechariah chapter 3 verse 2. And Yahweh said unto Satan, Yahweh rebuke you, O Satan. Even Yahweh that has chosen Jerusalem rebuke you. Is not this a brand plucked out of the fire? Now Yahshua was clothed with filthy garments, and stood before the angel. And he answered and spake unto those that stood before him, saying, Take away the filthy garments from him. And unto him he said, Behold, I have caused your iniquity to pass from you, and I will clothe you with change of raiment.
I will clothe you with a change of raiment. He had these filthy garments. He cannot work with those filthy garments. Being a priest, you must be clothed with this wedding garment, which is the spirit and spiritual things. But there's a certain way that things have to be done. Go ahead.
You know, even here, there's two things going on, because we can't see the Messiah in the Old Testament.
Right.
But we're actually seeing him right here and not realizing.
But see, that's the thing. And it's going to get a little bit clearer as we get further down for those who want to see it. You know, that's the thing when people telling you, stay away from the Old Testament. The Messiah's in the Old Testament.
Right.
You're telling me to stay away from Christ? Only a devil will tell you to stay away from Christ. Go ahead.
And I said, Let them set a fair mitre upon his head. So they set a fair mitre upon his head, and clothed him with garments. And the angel of Yahweh stood by.
Okay, hold your place right there. And they said, set a fair mitre upon his head. Let's go to Exodus chapter 28. See, because the preachers today done pulled out the fine $1,000 suits, people have forgotten that there's a dress code to righteousness. There's a way. There was a time that everybody wore robes. Even the big money pastors had robes on. They had a fine Italian suit, but they had a robe on top of it, so you couldn't see the fine Italian suit. But sooner or later, they like, look, you got to see this suit. This suit is awesome. This suit is awesome. So the robe came off. So people want to know how we got to the suit. The suit was under the robe, but then the robe came off. Exodus 28, and we're going to read verses 31 through 43. Exodus 28 and verse 31.
And you shall make the robe of the ephod all of blue, and there shall be an hole in the top of it, in the midst thereof. It shall have a binding of woven work round about the whole of it, as it were the whole of an habergeon, that it be not rent. And beneath upon the hem of it you shall make pomegranates of blue, and of purple, and of scarlet, round about the hem thereof, and bells of gold between them round about.
Right. This is what those brothers be walking around with. This is the style of how the priests are supposed to have themselves, and this golden bell and a pomegranate, so that as they move, you hear the priest coming. This is how some of the brothers walk around with their fringes. They got them all around the hem of their garment. That's not what this is supposed to be. See, they have taken one thing. The fringes is supposed to be on the corner of the garment, not all around the hem. And this is how those brothers completely mix up the word to fit their own thing. Because of course, you know, they selling those them little lampshade shirts, them little shirts that look like the lampshade and it's got all this stuff around the bottom of it. Yeah, they sell those shirts, but something has to make that be a value in your mind. This is what they think. They're not even saying that this is what they're doing. They're taking this and they're using the understanding of this, and they're making the fringes do that. This is not for the fringes. This is for the priest. And this is pomegranate and a bell, and it goes all the way around. And it's going to keep explaining it. Go ahead.
Verse 34. A golden bell and a pomegranate. A golden bell and a pomegranate upon the hem of the robe round about.
You see that? A golden bell and a pomegranate. A golden bell and a pomegranate. Then it's got different colors of those things. So you see that it's going about this hem. Go ahead.
And it shall be upon Aaron to minister, and his sound shall be heard when he goeth in unto the holy place before Yahweh, and when he cometh out, that he die not. And you shall make a plate of pearl gold, engraven upon it, like the engravings of a signet, holiness to Yahweh. And you shall put it on a blue lace, that it may be upon the mitre, upon the forefront of the mitre it shall be.
Once again, this mitre is a head covering. So now you find a head covering. We find this in holiness. We're talking about the angels doing these things and making sure that these things are set in place. What we were just reading, this holiness going all the way up to that. Then you find the very same thing was told unto Aaron, that he had to have a mitre on. So you see that this is something of authority on one hand, but obedience unto Yahweh in the other. Go ahead.
And it shall be upon Aaron's forehead, that Aaron may bear the iniquity of the holy things which the children of Israel shall hallow in all their holy gifts. And it shall be always upon his forehead, that they may be accepted before Yahweh. And you shall embroider the coat of fine linen, and you shall make the mitre of fine linen, and you shall make the girdle of needlework. And for Aaron's sons you shall make coats, and you shall make for them girdles, and bonnets you shall make for them, for glory and for beauty.
So Aaron's son shall have bonnets, which are also head coverings. So there's a mitre on the head of the high priest, and then there's a smaller bonnet, another covering that's on the head of the underpriest. So there's coverings on all of these men, but you can tell the high priest by his head covering, which is interesting. When you think about in the New Testament, remember Saul ended up saying something to one of them, and he said, Yahweh shall do you, smite you, you whited wall. And he was like, either somebody hit him or something like that, and told him, you gonna speak to the high priest this way? He said, I'm sorry, I knew not that he was your high priest. Why didn't he know?
He wasn't attired properly.
Why didn't he know? Say the high priest supposed to be cup. See? You see? See, people want to tell you, well, it don't matter, you can wear anything. No, man. No. When your house catch on fire and the dude show up in a suit with a hose, that's the fireman right there. That's the fireman. But if you just got some brother walking around in a fireman hat and just walk around with a hose, just walk down the street, man, bro, why you walk around with the fireman outfit on? See, if this is the job that you're supposed to hold, it's supposed to look like that's your job. See? The policeman can't come to my house in a pair of Bermuda shorts. Tell me, hey man, somebody called, say it was a burglary. What the hell are you doing here, man? You just come on vacation? Where your uniform at? No, you need to look like the job that you're supposed to have. So you wonder, why did Saul, a man who was taught in the law, why did he not recognize the high priest? High priest head covering is supposed to be different than the head coverings of the other people. Yet you got a whole brand of brothers walking around here talking about don't cover your head. Right, because they not in authority and they don't want you to be either. Them brothers ain't even baptized. Their leader ain't baptized. They don't want you to be baptized. Dirty folk want you to stay dirty. What they tell you in the gang? All right, man, you won't hang with us? Here, initiation, go over there and shoot them people. Why? They don't trust clean people around their dirtiness. Why? You can turn state's evidence. Because you ain't got nothing to lose. They need for you to have something to lose too. Misery love company, so they need you to be dirty. So they going to tell you don't get no baptism because I ain't got nothing there. Go ahead.
Even in this situation with Zechariah, he's in the midst of angels, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's seen Yahshua the high priest. He's the one that said, oh, go ahead and put a mitre on his head. Because he knows what it's supposed to be like.
Brother, keep reading.
And you shall put them upon Aaron your brother and his sons with him, and shall anoint them, and consecrate them, and sanctify them, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office.
Sanctify them that they may minister. See, people call themselves to do things, and it's funny because what people do now is they have unofficial official gatherings. So that way they really don't have to be, sanctified. So we not gonna call it a church per se. You know what I'm saying? It's more like a, like a kickback. You know what I'm saying? Like what the kids do, but with the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Right. Yahweh gonna kill all of you. Keep playing them game. Go ahead.
And you shall make them linen breeches to cover their nakedness. From the loins even unto the thighs they shall reach.
Because see, what they use that to do is to break every thing that's supposed to be set. Some people just want to gather together to read out of the book. I get that. Then you got some that want to put themselves in the line of the priesthood and know they ain't got no business being there. Go ahead.
And they shall be upon Aaron and upon his sons when they come in unto the tabernacle of the congregation, or when they come near unto the altar to minister in the holy place, that they bear not iniquity and die. It shall be a statute forever unto him and his seed after him.
All right, now let's go back to where we were. Zechariah chapter 3.
Verse 6. Zechariah chapter 3 and verse 6. And the angel of Yahweh protested unto Yahshua, saying, Thus said the Yahweh of hosts, if you will walk in my ways, and if you will keep my charge, then you shall also judge my house, and shall also keep my courts, and I will give you places to walk among these that stand by.
Right. It says the world shall be judged by Elohim according to my gospel. This is what Yahshua said. Go ahead.
Hear now, O Yahshua the high priest, you and your fellows that sit before you, for they are men wondered at. For behold, I'll bring forth my servant the branch. For behold, the stone that I have laid before Yahshua, upon one stone shall be 7 eyes. Behold, I'll engrave the engraving thereof, saith Yahweh of hosts. And I will remove the iniquity of that land in one day. In that day, saith Yahweh of hosts, shall you call every man his neighbor under the vine and under the fig tree.
Every man his neighbor under the vine and under the fig tree. Everyone shall sit in peace and his own house in the land wherein they were are set to inherit. Let's go to Isaiah 11. People want to tell you to stay out of this Old Testament. They on some different kind of stuff. They on that prosperity doctrine. They on that prosperity movement, and hey man, they prospering. But let me tell you something. I wouldn't want to be in their shoes for nothing, because they're gonna pay for that.
So Zechariah chapter 1, 2, and 3, we just talked about Yahshua, not the son of Nun.
Right. Right. So, and the last thing we heard was about the branch. Isaiah 11, and let's start this verse 1.
And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Yesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots.
All right, a rod out of the stem of Yesse, Dawid. Yahshua was called the son of Dawid because the seed of Dawid was used to bring forth the Messiah. Here go the branch. We still talking about the Messiah here in the Old Testament. See, whoever telling you to stay out of the Old Testament, these people are trying to get you killed. And they ain't got no business teaching nobody. I don't care how big their church is. Go ahead.
And the Spirit of Yahweh shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of Yahweh.
Now, if you back up what we heard before, at the end of the last one, y'all ain't got to back up. I'm going to go and read it for you. Zechariah 3 and 9. For behold, the stone that I have laid before Yahshua, upon one stone shall be 7 eyes. Okay, now read that again, what you just read.
And the Spirit of Yahweh shall rest upon him. The Spirit of wisdom.
Number 2.
And understanding.
3.
The Spirit of counsel.
4.
And might.
5.
The Spirit of knowledge.
6.
And of the fear of Yahweh.
7.
and shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of Yahweh, and he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears. But with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked. And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and faithfulness the girdle of his reins. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf, and the young lion, and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them.
Now, you know the problem that a lot of white people have? They trying to do this now. It said the wolf shall dwell with the lamb. You see them folk, and they get them a full tiger or a lion and sit it right there, and then, they try to have monkeys as pets and stuff like that, and then, like, the tiger eat one of them, and they say, oh, the tiger went crazy. No, he didn't. He went tiger. He was a tiger. The tiger went tiger. That's what a tiger's supposed to do. This has not happened yet. See? It has not happened yet. The wolf shall dwell with the lamb. You put a wolf beside a lamb now and see, don't he eat them? So people won't tell you, don't deal with the Old Testament. This stuff ain't happened. But see, folk gonna make it happen. They want to go on little TV shows, and you see them with the big, beast sitting there, and then the thing just haul off out of nowhere and just straight eat one of them. And then they like, oh my God, we got to put it down, we got to kill it. No, man, it did what it supposed to do. It ate you. You had no business being that close to that kind of animal. I'm not walking up on no lion, bro. Don't get me wrong now. The first time it say that there ain't nothing to say in the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. Believe you me, if I get to be in that time, I want me a lion. The hell with these brothers that got a pit bull, I want a lion. But let me tell you something. I ain't gonna try to get a lion tomorrow. You understand what I'm saying to you? You gotta understand what the time is. I'm not trying to get ate up by one of them things, man. So this shows you how people want to come and go in this word as it suits them. See, as it works out for them, they want to jump in and out of that, and you can't do that. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb in the time appointed. You do it now and see, don't you end up losing one less lamb in the morning. And see, don't that wolf be licking his chops. Put another one out here. See what happened to it. He gonna eat that one too. Go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 7. And the cow and the bear shall feed, their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. And the suckling child shall play in the hole of the ass, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice den.
See, we talking about stuff ain't happened yet. But people want to tell you don't deal with it. The cow and the bear shall feed, the young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. See, that the lion don't eat straw. Now, you understand? The lion eat other animals. And to him, I might look like a chicken dinner. I am not going to stand next to a lion. People want to tell you, see these folks in the movie, just pet it. Now I'm going to leave it alone. Because I don't know what might set it off. I might have the right cologne on to make him, man, you smell like a wildebeest. I don't know what that is. But this has its appointed time. People always want to do something outside the time. That's the whole part of what righteousness is. You do it outside the time and outside the boundaries. It's no longer righteous. I mean, if you get ate by a lion, it was either unfortunate or extremely stupid. Either he snuck up on you, or you was stupid enough to think that he was a pet. There's not a whole lot of other options. Go ahead.
They shall not hurt nor destroy on all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of Yahweh, as the waters cover the sea. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. to it shall the Gentiles see, and his rest shall be glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Adonai shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant
The
of his
second time to recover the remnant of his people. Second time. See, this is what, now we're talking about Isaiah, yet you have these people who supposed to be Jew-like telling you that they're already a part of this. Wait a minute, this Isaiah, that stuff you're talking about was still in the first 5 books in the law, and they claiming that was them, and that gives them the right to possess it. Wait a minute, man, we're talking about a second mass, serious movement of the children of Israel. Go ahead.
which shall be left, from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar.
Now, the only ones they want to deal with is the ones from Cush, which is Ethiopia. They will let a few of them come to the land because it's hard to deny the Ethiopian connection. But even then, they make them vow to be what they are. Go ahead.
And from Hamath and from the islands of the sea. And there's our clue right there, because we scattered all throughout the islands right there, and they don't come from the islands.
Let me tell you something. White people just started going to the island. Now, and let me tell you something. And even going into them islands, they done messed up the island. That's why the island got a problem now. Because everybody done went to them trying to take them over. Spreading their doctrine. Now the doctrine of the islands have changed. Because all these people done moved. Now people are fascinated with foreign things. Ooh, you're from foreign. Right. Go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 12. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcast of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Yehudah from the 4 corners of the earth.
So if he got to gather them for the 4 corners of the earth, how the hell are they supposed to be over there now then? And he got to gather them from the 4 corners of the earth, but they saying we already here. How you get there? Go ahead.
The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Yehudah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Yehudah, and Yehudah shall not vex Ephraim. But they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines toward the west. They shall spoil them of the east together. They shall lay their land upon Edom.
Lay their hand.
They shall lay their hand upon Edom and upon Moab.
Right, Edom, the people calling themselves the Jews, mixed in with Euro Gentiles, and Moab and Ammon, the people who are calling themselves the Palestinians. Go ahead.
And the children of Ammon shall obey them. And Yahweh shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea, and with his mighty wind shall he shake his hand over the river, and shall smite it in the 7 streams, and make men go over dry shod. And there shall be an highway for the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, like as it was to Israel in the day that he came out of the land of Egypt.
Like as it was in the day that he came out of the land of Egypt. See, the Ish don't want you to read that. So wait a minute. So in the same, Yahweh does and follows the same patterns over and over again. See, he does the same things over and over again. So when you deal with that, he has done this thing a certain way the last time. He's going to operate the same way the next time. See? Let's go to Yohanan, John chapter 19.
One of the biggest things is we keep hearing, oh, that was olden days, olden days. This book also says, so it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end.
Right. People always want to tell you, what, and that's one of the craziest terms that I've ever heard. Olden days is one thing. I've heard people say, that was during biblical times. I'm sorry, I didn't see an expiration on my Bible. Where's your expiration date on yours? Because I looked all over mine. I didn't see the expiration date on. See, what that does is it gives people the opportunity to throw in or out whatever they don't like. See, they want to believe that somehow dietary law was somehow connected to the refrigerator. See, so since they didn't have refrigerator back then, that's why they didn't eat pork. But see now you got refrigerators, you know what I'm saying, and you can refrigerate that pork. No, it's still a nasty, disgusting animal. It is a garbage disposal of an animal. It is made to eat and consume trash. That's its job. That's what it was created for. And when you eat it, you are eating all of the trash that it ate. It can eat human bodies, bones, everything. It had a job to do. And one thing you'll find, whenever the Euro Gentiles are doing one of their, things, that pig is in it. The pig is a staple of heathen worship. They have the pig in everything. They like Bubba Gump with the pig. They got every kind of pig eating you can think of. They love the pig. Absolutely. And the first thing, people want to say that you don't have to, worry about that. But here's what happens. Sooner or later, they get old and they go to the doctor, and the doctor said the same thing. You got to stop eating that pork. I could have told you that. I could have went to the front of the book and told you, hey, you got to stop eating that pork. I could tell you, you ain't have to go wait until your neck swell up. You know what I'm saying? And you can't see straight, and every time you turn right, you still go left. You ain't have to wait for that. I could have told you that. It's right here in the beginning of the book. This is not to be eaten. It has a job. Everything is good for the purpose in which it was created. The pig is good. It is good to have a garbage disposal. It's not good to eat the garbage. If you think it's good, if you got a garbage disposal, just reach your hand down there and grab some of that gunk up in there and just stick it in your mouth. That's what you do when you're eating a pig. They just stick your hand in the trash. Go eat out of there. That's what that pig is. Yohanan chapter 19. Let's start at verse 1.
Then Pilate therefore took Yahshua and scourged him. And the soldiers platted a crown of thorns and put it on his head. And they put on him a purple robe.
Right. Understand. Yahshua is now not just high priest, but he's king and high priest. Now, the high priest got to have a covering. But then, as he is a king as well, then he has the two coverings, just like this high priest had his two coverings. So there's a little bit more when you talk about this crown of thorns of why he has this covering on his head. When you deal with the Pope, every time you see the Pope got a head covering on.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
And said, Hail, King of the Yehudis! And they smote him with their hands. Pilate therefore went forth again, and saith unto him, Behold, I bring him forth to you, that you may know that I find no fault in him. Then came Yahshua forth, wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe. And Pilate saith unto them, Behold the man. When the chief priests therefore and officers saw him, they cried out, saying, Crucify him, crucify him.
Right, now these are chief priests. These are the head people over the children of Israel. But just like today, the big time preachers, the ones that are in control, are the most wicked. So wicked, in fact, that when Yahweh has brought forth his only begotten Son here on earth to set forth a righteous example, and he didn't deal with none of them. He went and got fishermen, 2 sets of brothers. He didn't get none of those people. So when regular people absorb this word, that's how your family start looking at you like, how all of a sudden you get such and such? That's how Christ moved. There was a whole temple. He didn't go get none of them people out of the temple. He went and got people to follow him. As he's walking, he's picking them up along the way. And they were doing other jobs. They were not so-called priests, to the point that people would ask, how you get this knowledge? How does this man know these things? Go ahead.
Pilate saith unto them, Take you him and crucify him, for I find no fault in him. The Yehudis answer him, We have a law, and by our law he ought to die, because he made himself the son of Elohim. When Pilate therefore heard that saying, he was the more afraid, and went again into the judgment hall, and saith unto Yahshua, Whence are you come? But Yahshua gave him no answer.
Right. Now, he is afraid. See, here's how the puppet leadership work. You're in power as long as there's not major uprising. Then the ultimate leader has to remove you and put somebody else in charge. So even though the Jews, the children of Israel, are being ruled over by this man, they know, hey, you are just a governor. The ultimate king and ruler of this land, if he find out you not running this right, he gonna remove you. So they know how to play the game. So you see there a little bit of preacher / politician. See, they playing both ends against the middle. The same thing they do today. Go ahead.
Then saith Pilate unto him, Speak you not unto me? Knoweth you not that I have power to crucify you, and have power to release you? Yahshua answered, You could have no power at all against me, except it were given you from above. Therefore he that delivered me unto you has the greater sin.
Therefore he that delivered me unto you has the greater sin. Go ahead.
And from thenceforth Pilate sought to release him. But the Yehudis cried out, saying, If you let this man go, you are not Caesar's friend.
You see, there it goes. They talking about, hey, we're going to tell your boss. We going to tell your boss, yep, yeah, you in charge. But I tell you what, you let this man go, and we're going to tell Caesar you let turmoil come onto this land. And Caesar's going to say, hey, man, all you had to do is kill one man, and it make them happy. Now, you can't get nothing better than happy subjects. You get to rule over your subjects. Your subjects desired you to kill one of their own. They didn't desire you to kill one of yours. Go ahead.
Whosoever maketh himself a king speaketh against Caesar. When Pilate therefore heard that saying, he brought Yahshua forth, and sat down in the judgment seat in a place that is called the pavement, but in the Hebrew, Gabbatha.
Now, once again, how the chief priests play politics. They said, whosoever maketh himself a king speaketh against Caesar. So all they have to say is, this man threatened your rulership, and your man didn't do nothing about it. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And it was the preparation of the Passover, and about the 6th hour. And he saith unto the Yehudis, Behold your king. But they cried out, Away with him, crucify him. Pilate saith unto them, Shall I crucify your king? The chief priests answered, We have no king but Caesar.
Check that out. The children of Israel are setting their allegiance with the heathen over Yahshua because they don't understand who he is. Now, this is the part where people are open and they're actually set up by their own evil desire and hatred toward Yahweh. What will happen is, when people's heart is not right, Yahweh won't reveal his power to them. So these are chief priests, and they have more understanding of the law than these common people. Yet Yahweh has not revealed to them who Yahshua is. So they think and feel justified in condemning him to death. And this is why you have to guard your heart. Because you can be so blinded in your heart that Yahweh won't show you what everybody else in the room sees. And you will completely feel justified and completely feel like you are right, and will go head first into nothing but disaster. And everybody saw you like, hey man, are they going to slam their head directly into that wall? Bam! Yes, they are. Wow, are they going to do it again? And keep doing it. And everybody know that it's a problem except you. These are the most intelligent people in the land. and they are the ones that are condemning him to death. So this word, it ain't about intelligence. Go ahead.
Yohanan chapter 19 and verse 16. Then delivered he him therefore unto them to be crucified. And they took Yahshua and led him away. And he, bearing his cross, went forth into a place called the place of a skull, which is called in the Hebrew Golgotha, where they crucified him, and two other with him, on either side one, and Yahshua in the midst. And Pilate wrote a title and put it on the cross, and the writing was, Yahshua of Nazareth, the King of the Yehudis. This title then read many of the Yehudis, for the place where Yahshua was crucified was near to the city, and it was written in Hebrew and Greek and Latin.
You see that? It was written in Hebrew, Greek, and Latin. It wasn't written in English. Go ahead.
Then said the chief priests of the Yehudis to Pilate, Write not the King of the Yehudis, but that he said, I am the King of the Yehudis. Pilate answered, What I've written, I've written. Then the soldiers, when they had crucified Yahshua, took his garments and made 4 parts, to every soldier a part, and also his coat. Now the coat was without seam, woven from the top throughout. They said therefore among themselves, Let us not rend it, but cast lots for it, whose it shall be. And the scriptures might be fulfilled, which said, They parted my raiment among them, and for my vesture they did cast lots. These things therefore the soldiers did.
Right. It says they did not want it to be written King of the Yehudis. They said, no, change it. He's, no. Y'all done played this game and forced this. I ain't changing nothing. Go ahead.
Even though when we look at what's written in the book, it says Jesus of Nazareth.
Mm-hmm.
Hebrew doesn't have the letter J. Greek still doesn't have the letter J. And Latin only had the letter J, in the last 600 years?
Mm-hmm.
So back then, he could not have written Jesus.
Right. Not at all. It wasn't even possible. This name Jesus only dates back to 1630. And that's 1630 years his name was something else. And that goes back to those 2 places where we saw Yahshua. See? It's right here in the book. And the book says study to show yourself approved. But if you don't have anybody that can help you study, then what you're ending up doing is just going on or what you think, feel, and believe, and going off the same misteaching that was handed down to us from generation to generation. Go ahead.
Yohanan chapter 19 and verse 25. Now there stood by the cross of Yahshua his mother and his mother's sister, Mary the wife of Cleophas, and Mary Magdalene. When Yahshua therefore saw his mother and the disciple standing by, whom he loved, he saith unto his mother, Woman, behold your son. Then saith he to the disciple, Behold your mother. And from that hour that disciple took her unto his own home. After this, Yahshua, knowing that all things were now accomplished, that the scripture might be fulfilled, saith, I thirst. Now there was set a vessel full of vinegar, and they filled a sponge with vinegar, and put it upon hyssop, and put it to his mouth. When Yahshua therefore had received the vinegar, he said, It is finished. And he bowed his head and gave up the ghost. The Yehudis therefore, because it was the preparation that the body should not remain upon the cross on the Sabbath day, for the Sabbath day was an high day.
Right. What that means, the preparation day is the day before the Sabbath. The preparation day is a day that things are supposed to be prepared by you, that you are not still working on the Sabbath. So if it's gas you need to get, if it's things that you need to get before the Sabbath, you do those things beforehand, so you don't have to go out to the store on the Sabbath day. So that's what the preparation day is for. But then it says for that Sabbath day was a high day, meaning that there was a holy day on the already weekly holy day. So it not just was a Sabbath, it was a high Sabbath, meaning a holy day fell on a Sabbath. Go ahead.
besought Pilate that their legs might be broken and that they might be taken away.
In other words, they need to expedite the death, because they can't have dead bodies hanging around while they're trying to keep their holy days. That will make them riot, which will send word back to Caesar, which will put everybody else's rulership or charge in jeopardy. Go ahead.
Then came the soldiers and brake the legs of the first and of the other which was crucified with him. But when they came to Yahshua and saw that he was dead already, they brake not his legs.
Right.
But one of the soldiers with a spear pierced his side, and forthwith came there out blood and water.
The very thing in which our baptism has, when we talk about except a man be born again, is these things that Yahshua has sanctified in the offering up of himself. They could not break his legs, as we read in the things of the offering. A blemished sacrifice cannot be offered unto Yahweh. The blood is part of the offering, so even them beating him did not make him blemished. If they would have broke his leg, that would have made him a blemished sacrifice. So he died and gave up the ghost before they were able to break his legs. These things are going directly according to Levitical law. Just like people can't see Christ in the Old Testament, they can't see the Levitical law in the New. Go ahead.
And he that saw it bear record, and his record is true, and he knoweth that he saith true, that you might believe. For these things were done, that the scripture should be fulfilled, a bone of him shall not be broken. And again another scripture saith, they shall look on him whom they pierced. And after this, Joseph of Arimathea, being a disciple of Yahshua, but secretly for the fear of the Yehudis.
Right, secretly. So people have to secretly follow this man. This is how much indignation the powers that be had against him. Even though some of them witnessed him do things that they couldn't do. Same thing happened here. Do something that some other people can't do. Boy, they gonna hate you even more. Go ahead.
Besought Pilate that he might take away the body of Yahshua, and Pilate gave him leave. He came therefore and took the body of Yahshua. And there came also Nicodemus, which at the first came to Yahshua by night, and brought a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 100 pound weight. Then took they the body of Yahshua, and wound it in linen cloths with the spices, as the manner of the Yehudis is to bury.
Right. So you find, even when you deal with that that whole thing of embalming and going through all of those things, you find that that was the Egyptian manner of burial, and our people took part of those things being amongst Egyptians. As the manner of the Yehudis to bury, you wind the body in linen clothes with spices. So you can see it didn't take them $20,000 to bury somebody. Somebody died now, and then the other people who are alive done their die too, because they think about the bill. Woo! Everybody died. $20,000? No, I ain't got $20,000. They might have a heart attack thinking about what all they got to pay for. But you can get some linen clothes and some spices. See? The daughter of Babylon rules over us even in our death. Go ahead.
Now in the place where he was crucified there was a garden, and in the garden a new sepulchre, wherein was never man yet laid. There laid they Yahshua, therefore, because of the Yehudis' preparation day, for the sepulchre was near at hand.
So they had to find somewhere near at hand, because the preparation day was coming to be and ending, and those things had to be done away with. Go ahead. Keep going.
The first day of the week cometh Mary Magdalene early, when it was yet dark, unto the sepulchre, and seeth the stone taken away from the sepulchre.
Right. So you have that preparation day, and in other places it tells you right away they rested according to the commandment on the Sabbath day, and then they came the first day of the week. Very simple. You got Friday, the preparation day. You got Saturday, the Sabbath day. Then the very first day of the week is Sunday. They called it Good Friday. What's the day after Good Friday? Saturday. That's when the Sabbath is. People tried to tell you, and for years, that was the lie that was being told to us. Well, you can't really tell when the Sabbath day is, because so many, they've changed the calendar, they've done so many things, and skiddly bebop. We just don't worry about it. Right? We know what day come out to Friday. So once enough people would not back down, then they had to come up with another doctrine that explains the Sunday worship, which is altogether a straight lie. But they tried the whole thing of the Sabbath. You can't really figure it out. That didn't work. Once you read enough places, you be like, hey man, it don't take a genius to figure out what day come after Friday. Go ahead.
Then she runneth and cometh to Simeon Peter, and to the other disciples, whom Yahshua loved, and saith unto them, They have taken away the Adonai out of the sepulchre, and we know not where they have laid him. Cephas therefore went forth, and that other disciple, and came to the sepulchre. So they ran both together, and the other disciple did outrun Cephas, and came first to the sepulchre. And he stooping down, and looking in, saw the linen clothes lying, yet went he not in.
Right. And let the Euro Gentiles tell you they done found the linen cloth. He wrapped it around his face, and then when they unwound it, his face was inside the linen cloth. And of course the picture looked like a straight white man. Right. Outlined in blood. Go ahead.
Brother, we know that linen is a strong material, but we know that linen will not have endured that time.
Man, what are you saying? That amount of time? The one thing about, linen, it allows the fabric, you can breathe through it, all of those stuff. But even within a certain time, within, winter and stuff like that, you can't just walk around with linen without something up under it because of how it is. And we had some linen that sat up too long, and that stuff dry rot and tear right up. But they won't tell you they got some linen from 2016 years ago. Right. Go ahead.
Then cometh Simeon Peter following him, and went into the sepulchre, and seeth the linen clothes lying, and the napkin that was about his head, not lying with the linen clothes, but wrapped together in a place by itself. Then went in also that other disciple which came first to the sepulchre, and he saw and believed. For as yet they knew not the scripture, that he must rise again from the dead. Then the disciples went away again unto their own home. But Mary stood without at the sepulchre weeping, and as she wept, she stooped down and looked into the sepulchre, and see two angels in white sitting, the one at the head, and the other at the feet, where the body of Yahshua had lain. And they say unto her, Woman, why weepeth you? She saith unto them, Because they have taken away my master, and I know not where they have laid him. And when she had thus said, she turned herself back, and saw Yahshua standing, and knew not that it was Yahshua. Yahshua saith unto her, Woman, why weepeth you? Whom seeketh you? She, supposing him to be the gardener, saith unto him, Sir, if you have borne him hence, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away. Yahshua saith unto her, Mary. She turned herself and saith unto him, Rabboni, which is to say, Master. Yahshua saith unto her, Touch me not, for I am not yet ascended to my Father, but go to my brethren, and say unto them, I ascend unto my Father, and your Father, and to my Elohim, and your Elohim.
Right. He must then anoint the altar in heaven with his own blood to make an atonement for the sin of the children of Israel. If you understand the whole setup of what is going on in the Old Testament, then you understand what has to happen here in this new. Go ahead.
Yohanan chapter 20 and verse 18. Mary Magdalene came and told the disciples that she had seen the Adonai, and that he had spoken these things unto her. Then the same day at evening, being the first day of the week, when the doors were shut where the disciples were assembled for the fair of the Yehudis, came Yahshua and stood in the midst, and saith unto them, Shalom be unto you. And when he had so said, he showed unto them his hands and his side. Then were the disciples glad when they saw the Adonai. Then said Yahshua to them again, Shalom be unto you. As my Father has sent me, even so send I you. And when he had said this, he breathed on them, and saith unto them, Receive you the Holy Ghost. Whosoever sins you remit, they are remitted unto them. And whosoever sins you retain, they are retained. But Thomas, one of the 12, called Didymus, was not with them when Yahshua came. The other disciples therefore said unto him, We have seen the Adonai. But he said unto them, Except I shall see his hands, the print of the nails, and put my finger into the print of the nails, and thrust my hand into his side, I will not believe. And after 8 days again his disciples were within, and Thomas with them. Then came Yahshua, the doors being shut, and stood in the midst, and said, Shalom be unto you. Then saith he to Thomas, Reach hither your finger, and behold my hands, and reach hither your hand, and thrust it into my side, and be not faithless, but believing. And Thomas answering said unto him, My Adonai and my Elohim. Yahshua saith unto them, Thomas, because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are they that have not seen me, and yet have believed. And many other signs truly did Yahshua in the presence of his disciples, which are not written in this book. But these are written, that you might believe that Yahshua is the Messiah, the Son of Elohim, and that believing you might have life through his name.
That you might have life through his name. And then, of course, what the people have done is change that name to one of these pagan names in which they worship. So, yeah, we see that we can find the Messiah all throughout this book, but we can definitely find him in this Old Testament, where people are telling us and instructing us that we should stay out of this book, stay out of this Old Testament. But this is, our foundation for the things that are written in the New Testament. The New Testament is a confirmation of the things that are written in the Old. So when you read some of these things, you can then back and get the understanding of why things had to be a certain way. But that's all that we're going to do for tonight. Let's leave out with the prayer. And all males remove your head covering, and females always pray with their head covered. Our Father, Most High Covenant Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, we thank you, Yahweh, for allowing this opportunity to gather before you, oh Father. We thank you, Father, for allowing us to borrow of your spirit of understanding, that we may be able to grow out of this great legacy that you have left unto us. We pray, Father, that you would allow this word to go out on the internet and all the other places, so that your lost sheep will be able to hear your word, Yahweh. For there are many hirelings who have distorted the truth of your word. And we pray, Father, that you would cause this to go forth, and for them to be able to hear. The ones that you have called to hear, they will hear. And we pray, Father, that you would allow these things to go in all the places where your scattered sheep are, that those who are called might be able to hear and walk accordingly. We ask these prayers not only for those who gather with us physically, but even those that gather by way of phones and by way of internet, those that gather out of a pure heart to serve you in truth and in spirit. In Yahshua HaMashiach's holy and divine name we pray. Amen and hallelujah.
Amen.